Hello all and welcome to the next session of Core Java. In this session, we will discuss about how constructors work in inheritance. We have seen that inheritance is the way how one class is reused through is a relationship, and instead of rewriting, we are implementing the reusability. However, is a relationship comparison or confirming about that is a must. Now, constructor is something which is responsible for initialization of instance data member. This is what we have discussed when we have discussed about constructors. Some more points related to constructors just to have a recap of that. First thing is constructor is a special function that gets executed at the time of instance creation or instantiation of any class. So at the time whenever we are creating an object, there is implicit call. Now as it gets invoked at the time of object creation, we can initialize the instance data members in a constructor. So we can conclude or we can say that constructor is responsible for initialization of the instance data members of a particular class. So let's now see how constructors behave in inheritance. So let's now revisit this example where we have vehicle as a superclass and car as its subclass. Now to have certain constructor, so say for example, first thing is nothing but a constructor which does not accept any parameter, right, which is a non-parametric constructor. So here I'm just going to print as vehicle, and here I'm going to create the constructor for car, and I'm just going to print system.out.println car. Right now, whenever I'm creating object of vehicle, so here itself I will add main method and I will write vehicle equal to new vehicle. And once we will execute this particular code, we will be able to see that this constructor is executed and this particular statement is printed on the console. Now, I am just printing one separator over here and I am creating object of car, new car. Now let's see what is the behavior of this particular application. So you can see that even if here I have created object of car, the constructor of vehicle is also executed. So what has happened is even if I have created object of subclass, constructor of superclass is also executed. And this is the default behavior of the constructors in inheritance. Whenever we are creating object of subclass, obviously it gets invoked, the constructor of subclass gets invoked. However, at the same time, superclass, immediate superclass constructor also gets invoked. So what has done or what compiler has done for us is it adds this particular code in our application. And then it compiles and executes that particular code. So this is the default behavior that whenever we have a subclass object creation, immediate superclass constructor is invoked. Now, what if I don't have any constructor available in superclass or subclass? Because so far even though we have implemented inheritance, even though we have created the object, we never mention constructor. So what happens is, as we have already discussed in the part of constructor, whenever we don't specify any constructor explicitly in our class, default constructor is available. And whenever I'm creating an object, default constructor gets invoked. And when default constructor of subclass gets invoked, internally, implicitly, superclass default constructor also gets invoked. So this is how invocation of constructors is done. Now let's see, what if I have parameterized constructor available in superclass and subclass. So I have private string color. This is one variable and I'm accepting this value from user. And here I'm assigning this dot color equal to color, right? And here I have a variable private string make, and I'm passing the value as string make, and this dot make equal to. Now I'm getting compilation error over here in this particular class. What could be the reason, right? So what it says is implicit super constructor vehicle is undefined. Means what? We have seen that the constructors get invoked implicitly. Even if I don't have that super keyword mentioned, in case of default constructor and in case of non-parametric constructor, superclass constructor gets invoked implicitly. But now I have a parameter which is being passed to the superclass constructor as well. So when there is any parameter which is passed to superclass constructor, this call cannot be implicit because compiler cannot take a decision of specifying the value. Because what developer wants to specify for a variable, what should be the value passed, that cannot be predicted by the compiler. So one solution to resolve this error is just add vehicle constructor over here, which is non-parametric constructor. Then this particular error is gone, right? So let's now print this information, public display, which is printing the color. Color is, and I'm specifying color of the vehicle. Public void display, and here I have public void show, and in this I'm printing the make, and I'm calling superclass method which is display. Now why I got this error? Because this class is not compiled, right? Unless you save your programs in Eclipse, they are not completely compiled, so the changes, new additions are not reflected. So I'm creating object of car over here, and I'm passing the make, and I am calling this information show to display all these. I'm not going to call display. Why? Because I'm already calling it from here. So whenever I'm executing this code, you can see that color is null, right? Why color is null? Because we have not specified the value. What has happened here? Internally, a super call is done, but it is calling this particular constructor, right? So if I will move this statement and store it over here, right? So I say vehicle 1 and let this particular be as vehicle 2 constructor. Multiple constructors we can have in our class. So once I'm executing it again, you can see that vehicle 1 means this particular constructor is invoked. And in this constructor, we are not assigning value for color. So internally, what it has done is from this particular constructor, non-parametric constructor is called implicitly. But then I'm unable to assign value for color variable. So when we need to pass parameters to superclass constructor, that call to superclass constructor must be explicit. So this vehicle constructor requires one parameter, right? Now, unless that subclass receives that particular parameter, how it will be able to send it? Obviously, no. So we will pass one more parameter over here as string color. But now this color is not required by the subclass, right? So we will make use of this super keyword and we will pass this parameter to the superclass. And here we will specify the value as a second parameter. Obviously, that parameter matching, how we are going to send the parameters, that must be taken care of. So now whenever I'm executing this particular code, you can see the color is set to black. So whenever we are using this super keyword in constructor, what we need to do is we need to look for the matching constructor, and according to that constructor signature, we need to pass the parameters. So if you have multiple parameters, the sequence of these parameters passed to that constructor must be proper. And one more thing, and very important thing related to this super call to constructor. What if I will write this call here? It gives us a compilation error, meaning the call to the superclass constructor cannot be written after any statements, or in short, call to the superclass constructor must be the very first statement in subclass constructor. Okay, so this is about the constructors, how they work in inheritance. Thank you.